anxiety. That's ennui.
On what?
Ennui.
I'm gonna call you Wee Wee.
First question is for you, Amy. The first movie felt almost to me like a buddy road trip comedy between Joy and Sadness, and this one seems to get more into Joy's inner struggle. Did you relate to the character differently this time around?
Yeah, I did. I felt like, we've all experienced a complicated 10 years, and I loved that Joy felt a little lost. And also, she's such a parental figure in this, and the film is really about that tender and difficult moment when you have to kind of separate from your parents as a young person in a way, and your friends become important, and you just start building your own self. So I really related to that on both sides. I remember doing it, and I'm a parent, wanting the best for my kids. So those two things were really, really deep and lovely to play.
And Maya, I was in the second I found out anxiety was in this movie. It was like instantly relatable. And then I was blown away by how compassionately that emotion was written.
Me too.
How was it for you to play that, in a way that wasn't just as a straightforward villain?
I think from the very first conversations in my first audition, it was made very clear to me that was not what was being looked for. What was being looked for was somebody who had a lot of empathy for anxiety. And I really did. Because it was really important to me that she wasn't this one-dimensional villain, partially because I hope that she's in the next film. And so she has to have a redemption arc. If you want to make it, if you want to make it to a sequel, then you need a redemption arc. But also just because I think anytime we demonize an emotion, we bottle it up, and then it comes back 10 times stronger and more powerful. It's like when you bottle up an emotion, it's like it expands in the bottle until it breaks the glass and shards of glass, and I'm a metaphoraholic, but that's why I like Pixar movies so much. But I think that learning how to have a healthy relationship to anxiety is something we're all working on, especially as levels of anxiety are at least reportedly higher than ever before. And it makes sense because of how, I want to use the word inculcated, but a deluge of things to worry about we have access to it in a ways we've never had before, where you can be worried about things that are happening a bajillion miles away, in a way that human beings, I don't know if we were supposed to, but we're figuring out how to handle it. And so being in conversation with anxiety, and I'm gonna stop talking in a second, but the Dalai Lama has this thing about how that enlightenment is not the absence of suffering or suffering all the time. It's knowing how much suffering is happening and being able to experience joy anyway. It's not just existing in suffering. It's being able to experience joy with the suffering. And I think that only in the conversation between anxiety and joy is that enlightenment kind of vibe possible.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And to jump off what you said at the start, if we are lucky enough to get Inside Out 3, for both of you, is there an age or a life event that you would like to guide Riley through?
There's so many things. They could just move a little forward and have her graduate from high school. They could flash forward to a feeling of romantic love. They could flash forward to the birth of her first child. I think Pixar wants to stay kind of young and in some ways, and that feeling of young, but what they do so well is they grow with their audiences too. So I think that what's special about the second one is that the people that saw it when they were 5 or 10 are now young adults in the world and feeling seen. And then the young kids that watch this for the first time think it's a funny, silly movie with these goofy people, and they like how everybody's yelling and running around. It's gonna grow with you. So I think there's a million ways to go with it, and I really hope they keep making more.
I would also accept a only for Disney adults Inside Out television spinoff, where each episode you're dealing with a different adult issue that it's not really for kids, but it's here guys, we'll give it to you, and and it's you're they each time you're in a different character's heads and seeing them going through something different, because I feel like seeing them work through childhood is so beneficial. But it's still we're all working through so many feelings all the time, and every person is so different, and Riley's so almost perfect, is one thing I think about a lot. Riley is, as much as she's going through all these struggles, God, if I could have a kid like Riley someday, whew, I'd be so happy. Like, you know, or if I could have been a kid like Riley, and I really wasn't. And I would also love to see, which is not really exactly like the right Disney spirit, but like I'd love to see the mind of a different kind of kid.
Or we go backwards and everyone's babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like free to be you and me.
Yeah, and we're just like little beans, like little baby beans.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you both so much.
Okay, how can I help? I can take notes, get coffee, manage your calendar, walk your dog, carry your things, watch you sleep.
Wow, you have a lot of energy.